Hi there, I'm Nick Allgaier with the Toronto Blue Jays, and you're listening to The Walk-Off with Scott Belford and Adam Mack. Give me like 20 seconds. I have terrible Wi-Fi here, and I'm going to try to get on my hotspot instead of the
Okay,
Wi-Fi.
sounds good.
Sure.
Thank you.
All right. Incredibly excited to be joined by left-handed pitcher of the Toronto Blue Jays organization, Nick Allgaier. Welcome to the Walk-Off, bud. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. You got that playoff beard in full bloom in Feb there. Well done.
Yeah, we had to shave in college and high school, and I really haven't shaved ever since I got out of college.
Now that the rules are do what you want, you're going for it.
Yeah, for now at least the 2.5 years I've had
it. Well, first off, my man, big congrats on your first big league camp. That's very cool, dude.
Yeah, it's been a fun experience so far, and thank you.
Absolutely. So let's start with this, okay? For the listeners who might not recognize your name, you were in High A Dunedin at the end of 2019, and you were always kind of a guy that was known for above average control, messing up hitters' timing, pandemic hits, right? No minor leagues, and yet your stock really has risen up the Jays pitching ranks. You added velo to your fastball. The reports are saying that there are tangible changes in your stuff in the last year. What did you do over the minor league shutdown to kind of put yourself in a position where you're at right now to be at big league camp? In a very tough year developmentally, you made a lot of progress.
Yeah, always has been one of my favorite parts of the game is training and kind of away from the game, as you can say. And I basically had over a year, or right at a year and a half, because of the previous offseason, to basically just do training. And then I did training all of 2019's offseason and then into 2020 at Premier Pitching and Performance in St. Louis. They were a huge help. And then when we got sent home from spring training, we were kind of in a holding pattern for a little bit. And then I started doing some more of getting into off-season training, as we saw we probably weren't going to go back. And then threw some innings to some hitters and tried to simulate some games, and threw close to 90 innings at home. But I mean,
wow,
it's definitely different than what you would like see in an actual year. But we had probably 10 or 15 hitters around the St. Louis area that would come and hit off all the minor league pitchers that we had training. So it was good. It was fun.
It must have been pretty exciting to kind of see that sort of development in a year that maybe some guys didn't make the progress that you made.
Yeah, you never know about that kind of stuff. You pretty much got to worry about what you're doing and what I can do to get better myself. I saw it as a time to train, and like I said, that's part of the fun for me is training and doing velocity training, throwing different weighted balls and all that kind of stuff.
Well, you just kind of touched on it there. I'm curious about, like, the increase in velocity you had was fairly substantial. You know, you added 4 to 5 miles an hour to your fastball. You were averaging 89-ish. You're touching 95 now. So how do you go about adding that sort of velocity? Was it mechanics, or is it just like hitting the gym? Like, how was your process about that?
It's kind of everything. Definitely working out and getting stronger and quicker, faster, getting more explosive, those kind of, after you put on the strength. And I put on a little bit of weight from the season I was in Dunedin, and then trying to transfer that over and get more explosive with it. And then, yeah, I have always done some weighted ball, plyo ball throwing since my sophomore year of college. And then the one thing I thought was the most help was I did a long toss velocity program that was playing long toss 4 times a week, and some kind of a differential blend with a 6-ounce ball and a 4-ounce ball, and a 5-ounce ball, obviously. But those kind of differential weights, 1 ounce heavier than baseball, 1 ounce lighter than baseball. Playing long toss with some of that. Yeah, go ahead.
For those who don't know what long toss is, you're kind of just explain it here, I guess, for the listener.
Yeah, so like a basic game of catch is goes out to probably 60 to 90 feet, I would say. And then long toss is keep backing it up, trying to increase how far you can throw with some air under the ball. I would go to my max distance and try to throw. Like obviously at the end, I would be getting to throw it as far as I could, which therefore is going to increase how hard you have to throw it.
Right.
So
So that's what you're
just
doing. You're training your muscle kind of thing.
yeah, just trying to throw it as far and as hard as I can on those certain days.
So this really impressed me, buddy. And it's been mentioned by a few of your former managers. It was mentioned several times within the system that you're one of the hardest workers in the Blue Jays organization, which is no small feat. And you did kind of touch on that just that you really enjoy the training side of the game. What keeps you focused to keep putting in the sort of work?
It's just your vision of where you want to get to and what you want to do in the game of baseball. So I haven't accomplished all that I want to accomplish in the game of baseball. So you keep pushing forward. And one thing I like to use is I don't like to talk about goals as much as more of like having a system in place, because I think when you have goals, like there's like an ending point there. And when you have a system of how you want to go about your business every day, then you can keep pushing along and just keep going through checkoffs as opposed to goals. And there's never really an end when you have a system in place to go about your business every day. And that's kind of how I look at it.
That's a good mindset. That's a really good mindset, actually. And I know one thing that about the MLB, and whether it's fair or not, is that the higher ranked prospects, the guys drafted in those first 3 rounds, they get a little bit more leeway, right? A little bit more rope. And I mean this with the utmost respect. Obviously, you're no bonus baby, right? Like you were drafted in the 12th round in 2018, and yet you have found a way to get noticed. So we talked about your work ethic, but what has your mental approach been, knowing that you have maybe not quite as many chances as, say, a guy taken in the second round? Or do you even take that into account and just try and continue to focus on yourself?
Yeah. No, I really didn't, or even free agents. So I don't think I don't think it's gonna help you in any way to look at it like that and focus on negative thoughts like that. I kind of just, like I said, just try to do
You're
what I
like, don't
can to
bring
get
up
better.
the negative side of this, bud. What are you doing?
Yeah,
So you're a Missouri boy, correct?
correct. Yeah,
And you played a little hockey
born and
growing
raised
up.
in St. Louis.
Born and raised in St. Louis. You a Blues
Oh yeah,
fan?
I am. Yes,
Yeah,
been to a lot of
2019.
Blues games in my life.
Yeah, 2019 must have been pretty exciting for you, to finally watch them hoist the cup.
Yeah, yeah, that was awesome. We actually had our last game or second to last game of the first half in Dunedin. That when they won Game 7, I was watching it. I watched the end of it on the bus.
Were the other guys laughing at you a bit? You must have. Were you like the only guy who was into it?
No, so there was actually a couple of guys. We had one of our coaches, Jake, he worked with Dunedin, and he's going to be in AAA this year. He's from Boston, so he was on the other side of it. But then we also had John Harris. John Harris is in the org, and he was doing a rehab stint down in Dunedin. So me and him were both on the blue side watching it.
Nice. He's a Missouri boy too,
fun.
is he? Yeah, that's great, man.
Yeah, he's from St.
What
Louis.
position? What position did you play when you were playing hockey?
I was a forward.
And you played in high school, correct? You were actually even sort of considering going junior?
I wanted to. I don't know that I was going to be good enough. I could have gone and played somewhere, but it wouldn't have been very high level. But yeah, I started playing when I was 3, and I played all the way through high school.
Oh, you're going to endear yourself to the Canadians' hearts. That's great.
Yeah, I'm a big hockey fan, and it's one of my favorite sports.
That's awesome, man. Did you play any other sports growing up? Do you enjoy playing any other things?
I also played football in high school, and then growing up, I played a little bit of basketball, but I was not very good at basketball. And then I started picking up some golf when I my first job was a caddy, and I started that when I was in like 6th grade, and then I started playing golf around like freshman year of high school, and I've started to play that a lot more now that I'm a PO, pitcher
Yeah,
only.
man. So golf must be pretty prevalent in that clubhouse. I know we literally talked to Adam Kloffenstein as soon as we're done with you here, and he was supposed to be on the show on Tuesday, and his golf game ran long. And I know we also talked to CJ Van Eyck, and golf. He was like, "Golf's my number one." He's like, "If I could be a pro golfer, I would." So, do guys in the clubhouse? Are you guys out playing together or what?
Yeah, we try to get out with each other. I played a couple times since November. St. Louis hasn't had the best weather, but try to get a little bit more down here.
Yeah, I can imagine. Um, so it must be pretty exciting for you to be at big league camp and kind of be able to pick the brain of so many pitchers. Like, are guys talking shop all the time? What is kind of the dynamic in that clubhouse right now? If you've got a guy on your team, are they pretty much an open book? Like anything you want to know, any info that they can share, they do. Do guys keep anything close to the vest?
No, most people are available and willing to share. It's a little different this year as opposed to, I'm assuming, what years previous have been because of COVID. So they kind of have us spread out all over the complex, and
Right.
there's like only like 26 guys in the big league clubhouse, and then we have another 20 in the clubhouse that I'm in. And I think there's 4 locker rooms, and we're all kind of spread out in there. But it's cool to talk shop with some of the coaches, and we have some meetings. But most of the big leaguers that I've talked to are very open with sharing anything that you'd want to ask them, and it's been a real good experience so far.
How has your pitching approach changed over the years?
A little bit just in the past year is I'm trying to attack a little bit more. You know, when you were throwing 88 to 90 as I was in Dunedin and in college, um, hitters are a little bit more in swing mode trying to attack you. A little uptick in velocity, and some of my other stuff has started to play better. It allows me to throw in the zone more and not have to pick edges as much, and kind of attack the zone and have more good things happen for me.
Do you feel more confident being able to put a little bit more zip on that fastball? Like, does it make
Yeah,
a
for sure.
difference? It doesn't make a difference mentally. It does, eh?
Yeah, for sure. Especially like I wasn't one that would get a whole bunch of swing and misses on my fastball, and then when you try to throw one hard and you get a swing and miss, it gives you a little extra boost of confidence. It's the same as what a hitter would have if they hit a home run. You know, next plate
Right.
appearance, they're gonna have a little more
A little more
juice in them.
swagger there, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, what was it like watching? Because what have you kind of topped out at? I know I was reading 95. Have you hit 96, 97? Like, what's that feeling when you hit a number like that? Even though you're not supposed to dwell on that, and it's about mixing your pitches and all that, right? Like, what's that feeling when you watch like 97 pop up?
Yeah. You want to throw it again, and you want to you want to throw it harder. It depends. Obviously, it depends where you're at. I haven't thrown in any actual games since like a little uptick just because of COVID. But when you're at home throwing bullpens or you're throwing to hitters on a live BP and you turn around, you see 95, you're like, okay, let's try to throw this one harder. It usually doesn't work out. It usually doesn't go harder, but it's still fun, especially when you have other guys you're competing with, trying to throw harder than them too.
How is the competition at spring training? Like, is everyone pretty competitive? Like, do you wind up in like little games all over the clubhouse? Or I know obviously with COVID, everyone's trying to distance and stuff, but is that prevalent?
Yeah, there's definitely some competition. And I'm a big cards player, so I'm always trying to get somebody playing cards in the clubhouse. But
Yeah, you play poker or what do you play?
no, we usually play gin.
Gin, nice. All right. I'm curious, Nick. Is there a pitcher in the organization, and we can even go broader than that, even the league, that you look at and you're like, this guy has similar weapons to me. I like what he's using and how he's going about his game, and then you try and model yourself off of them or take pieces of their game. Are there pitchers out there that you pay especially close attention to?
Yeah, I don't know that I would have one specifically because you, for me at least, you try to change your stuff every once in a while. With throwing harder, I've dropped a little bit in arm slot just naturally, but there's definitely pitchers that you watch, especially with me being at Big League Camp for the first time and Blue Jays just getting Steven Matz. You know, he's a taller lefty that throws pretty hard. You kind of watch those type of people. I kind of just try to soak in everything, and it's more to me about learning how they pitch and what their mindset is, like how they read the hitters, how they go off what pitches they just threw, as opposed to trying to model my game after them. Because
Right.
I think everyone's game is going to be different, and you're gonna throw with what you have, and most of it is just learning how to pitch, learning how to read hitters, um, and then the biggest part is putting it where you want. So um, that's more what I watch. I'm trying to watch how they pitch, how they attack hitters, and say, hey, I kind of have similar stuff to them, so I'm going to watch this guy a little more closely as opposed to a sidearm right-hander.
Yeah, right. Of course. Are there guys like, have you had a moment where you're watching a guy and kind of picked up on the way he's thinking or the way he's approaching a hitter and been like a eureka moment for yourself?
Only left-hander in Dunedin. We had Rocky come make us rehab start down there, and I think he threw 2 innings, and I don't think a single person put a ball in play. I'm like, gosh, I need to go back and study this for the next time I go out and throw against him. And I did throw against him one more time, and actually did pretty well. But yeah, there's definitely times when if somebody with similar stuff is throwing against a team that you're going to throw against, they may not have the same stuff, but most of the time, um, the lineups are going to be similar, and the managers from the other teams are going to put a left-handed lineup in.
Sorry, Nick, just a second. Adam, can you mute your mic there, bud, please? No, sorry, your conversation's happening here. There you go. Thank you. All right, Nick. Sorry, buddy. Go ahead.
You want to tell the whole thing again?
No. You can just kind of pick up where you were there.
Oh yeah, just I think watching pitchers with similar stuff and style to you and how they attack the hitters just kind of gets their mindset, and you can see what worked. And then talking to the catchers after the game and talking to them how they attacked is helpful.
How much do you lean on your catcher?
A pretty decent amount. I think obviously it takes time to get comfortable with your catcher. But once you kind of get the feeling after a couple games of, hey, they know what you want to throw, they know how you want to work, they know how fast you want to work, they know how you want to attack hitters. Then it's a pretty good back and forth of let's go about it, and we know exactly what we're going to do together.
Right. Have you worked with a catcher that you just had overly good chemistry with, where you were just like, man, this guy knows how to call a game?
Yeah, I haven't had anybody I've thrown to in the Blue Jays organization that hasn't been a really good fit. If I had to pick one that stood out, I threw a 5-inning sim game I think it was last spring training before we got sent home, and it was the first time I'd ever played catch or thrown to Reese McGuire. And I don't think I shook him off one time in 5 innings, and we had a lot of success. And it was probably the most immediate chemistry I've had with a catcher, but I haven't had any catchers that I don't have chemistry with after we get going for a couple starts and everything.
Just that lefty connection, eh?
Yeah, I guess it was pretty fun.
So, Nick, you're actually our third Vancouver Canadian or former Vancouver Canadian that we've talked to in the last couple months here, Joey Murray. And fellow Missouri boy, Will Robertson, the other, and both raved about the city and the fans and just how it really felt like their first pro experience. Do you have any stories or experiences that kind of stood out to you when you played in Vancouver?
I don't really have any stories, but I had a great time, and I had a great host family, the Gustafsons, up there, and I had a fantastic time. And I thought that was the first time that I ever been up in the Northwest. But it's a beautiful part of the country, and both Canada and the United States up there. I enjoyed it a lot.
Was that your first time in Canada?
Yeah, it was.
It was. Did you know much about Canada before you went to Vancouver? Like, did you know what to expect?
I had a roommate in college for 2 out of my 4 years that was from Brooklyn, Ontario. So that was about the extent of
right. So he was already filling you
knowledge
all in about the poutine and all that.
Yeah, I did enjoy the poutine. I had that a couple times. I liked that, and
I love it.
I just knew their hockey craze, so
Yeah.
I was already looking forward to it.
Of all the milestones that you have kind of accomplished throughout your career, do you have, if you had to rank 3 of them, like what were 3 achievements you've kind of accomplished that you just kind of were like, wow, I can't believe I'm here right now? Do you have 3 you could list?
Well,
you should have given me a heads up on this one, bud.
Yeah. Getting engaged recently is probably number 1.
Oh, congrats, man. That's great. Yeah. When did you get engaged?
In December.
December. Do you it's so funny because I'm engaged as well, and my fiance always gives me shit if I don't know if you've done this yet, where you call her your wife or maybe your girlfriend and don't use that fiance word, and then she's like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I have slipped up a couple times and said girlfriend. She's like, we're engaged now. And I'm like,
it's fiance, Nick.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations on that. That's great, man.
Thank you.
And good job mentioning getting engaged first in this list.
Yeah, and then probably my second one would have been going to Iowa, getting a scholarship offer from going to Iowa. That's where my dad went. He played football up there too, so that was kind of a special spot for me. I've been going up there since I was probably 5 years old, going to football games, and that was a pretty cool accomplishment that I liked. And then obviously getting drafted. I didn't really have a ton of aspirations going into college about playing pro ball. I always growing up, you wanted to play professional baseball, and I wasn't the best at baseball, and kind of started getting into the training at P3 in St. Louis, and finally started to realize that, hey, things could happen, get drafted and play some professional baseball. And it's been an awesome experience ever since.
What were those moments right before you, like what kind of signaled to you that you were like, I can do this. I can go pro. Maybe I could make a run at this.
Just kind of seeing all your other teammates, like the teammates that get drafted, kind of looking at them, and then some of the success that you have playing college baseball and in the Big Ten, which obviously isn't as big of a powerhouse as like the SEC, but there's still some very, very solid baseball. And just playing against some of those guys, like, okay, yeah, like I belong here. And it's kind of the same thing I'm doing right now is at my first big league camp, just trying to realize and put in your head that you belong, you're here for just be yourself. Can you hear me? I lost your.
There we go. There we go. There you're back. Yeah. No, all good. I'm really curious, man, about the mood in the clubhouse this spring. I mean, obviously there's some excitement up and down the ranks. What's it like being in that atmosphere, and how have the major leaguers been treating you and kind of all the other major league or minor leaguers in the system? Is it like one big happy family? Are you getting razzed a bit more, or like, how does the dynamic there work?
No, it actually has been extremely friendly. It's a little bit different than I guessed. Just I also think it's because of COVID, but there's a lot of group work and smaller group works to keep people separated, and so they put a couple big leaguers with a couple minor leaguers and have like your own group of say 5 to 8 people, and I got to know those guys pretty well, and they've been very welcoming and accepting of all the minor leaguers, and I've had no bad experiences so far. And I think it would be the same if we were all together.
That's great, man. That's really cool to hear. With spring training games starting literally Sunday, I know obviously scheduling and stuff is still up in the air. Do you know what day you'll throw an inning? Do you know when you actually get an actual inning in?
They put up a schedule of like backups and who's throwing in the game. I'm pretty sure I'm slotted to throw in game on Wednesday the 3rd.
Wednesday the 3rd. Awesome. Are you excited? Are you nervous? Like, do you get nervous for stuff like this, or is ball?
You definitely have some nerves. I got super nervous the one game I pitched in the Big Ten championship my sophomore year against Ohio State, and that was the most nervous that I had ever been in any sporting event. And I kind of changed the mindset and we do a lot of mental performance stuff. Try to work on that and breathing mechanisms to calm nerves. But yeah, there's definitely going to be nerves there, and um, for sure. But it's not going to be out of the realm. I have nerves every game that I throw, honestly.
You do get nervous every game still, eh?
Yeah, for sure.
That's great, man. I love that. It's funny. Like I'm a professional stand-up comic, or I was when I could still tour. And it's really funny to me because I have friends who, have literally been on stage 2,000 times, 3,000 times, but still get nervous. Like they're going to puke before every single performance. And I just love, and it's so funny because they're a wreck beforehand. And then afterwards, it's like, they just want to battle, right? It's like, all right, I did it. I can still do it.
For sure. I know that. Yeah. I know the feeling. It's not the easiest to cope with, but you try to turn it around and say it's good energy. It's even though it's nervous energy, this is what you want. There's some people that don't get nervous anymore and they wish they could, and they wish they had those butterflies in their stomach. So
absolutely. So in the game, and I mean, this has been a big aspect of the game forever, but I mean, it's become more and more analytically driven. So it's even paid more attention to the lefty righty splits. How much time do you spend thinking about that? Obviously, left-handed pitchers are a huge commodity in the game these days. If they can pitch to right-handed hitters, right? Like that's the only time you're going to see a lefty starter is if they can pitch to righties. How do you work on that? And how do you approach righty in comparison to lefty? I know everybody is guy to guy, but just in general.
Yeah, I think for me, if I face a right-hander, I have I would say availability of all my pitches: fastball, cutter, curveball, changeup. And when I'm facing a lefty, I would say it's kind of 3.5. Like I would take sometimes the left
What's
on
the
left
pitch
changeup.
you're cutting?
I would say half of a changeup. It's going to depend on guy by guy.
Right.
When you can throw each left-hander is going to be each left-hand hitter is going to be different of whether they're a guy you can throw a changeup to, and I'll know that going into the game. Hey, probably stay away from this guy on a changeup, as opposed to, hey, this is someone that's a little bit more of a big free swinger. Hey, you can attack him with all 4 of them if you so see.
Yeah. So if you just could pick the scenario that gives you the biggest rush on the mound, what would that be? Is it a strikeout? Is it a ground ball double play? What is it that makes you, when you accomplish it on the mound, just you can't help but fist pump?
It'd probably be a strikeout. Yeah,
It is a strikeout, eh?
Yeah. I'm always in for. I would say a swinging strikeout. I'm more like to see your stuff get whiffed at.
Yeah, rather than paint the corner and just kind of get them watching, eh?
Yeah, that's not bad either, though. So.
Nick, thank you so much for joining us, man. I do have some listener questions here for you. You got another 5 minutes or so for us?
For sure.
Awesome. Right on. So Jamie in Kamloops, BC. So that's just 4 hours east of Vancouver. She says, "Hey, Nick, congrats on being one of the non-roster invitees this year. How surprised were you to get that call?"
I don't know if it would the right word is surprised. It's yeah, obviously, like you're not counting on getting an invite, but um, you kind of talk back and forth between the coaches in the off season, and they try to give you as much of a heads up as you can. But it's definitely something I was grateful for, and yeah, you could say a little bit surprised, but it's something that I was working for and something that I was trying to get. So it was more of a exciting thing.
You were pretty excited, eh?
Yeah.
Did you
Yeah.
do anything to celebrate? Go for supper with the fiance or anything like that?
No, I don't think I
You're
did.
like, no, just started
Yeah.
prepping for spring training.
Yeah.
All right. Kristen in Edmonton. So that's in Alberta, just above Montana. She writes in and says, "Hey, Nick, well, of course, you know where Edmonton is. You're a hockey fan. What am I doing here?
Yeah.
Hey, Nick, do you have any superstitions or weird routines you do on pitching days?"
Um, I don't consider it weird, but I have a pretty detailed warm up routine that's minute based that I start about an hour and a half before.
You have
And
it
then
down to minute to minute.
yeah, minute blocks. I wouldn't say it's minute. I wouldn't say it's minute to minute, but about every 5 or 10 minutes, I have it blocked off, and then I try to change gloves if I'm not doing too hot with one. Like I had a red glove I used to play catch, and I used it one time in the All-Star game in 2019, and just got lit up, and it's not going to see the field again. I haven't thrown with it.
How do you decide which game you're starting, which glove you're starting the game with? The hot hand?
No, it's more which one feels the best when I'm playing catch, honestly.
Okay, so it's not the previous performance, but if it's an in-game thing, you could be like, this glove sucks.
Well, I'll use the same glove if I'm doing well from start to start. Like I'll use that same glove no matter what. But once I
Right.
change, like it's more based on which glove I broke in the best, because I wouldn't say I'm the best at breaking in gloves, but every once in a while I'll get one that I like and use that one.
So this next question is from Devin in Vancouver. It's funny, you kind of already answered this question. He says, "Hey, Nick, I saw you pitch when you were with the Canadians in Vancouver. Congrats on big league camp. Did you have any poutine while you were in Vancouver?" Yes, you did.
Yeah. Well, thanks, man. At the football game in Ames, Iowa, they had a poutine stand in the football stadium.
Oh, awesome.
So, but I'm always in for poutine. I like it a lot.
That's great, man. Honestly, Nick, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us, man. It means a lot, and we really appreciate it.
No problem. Thanks for having me on. I'm
Yeah.
anxious to see if I'm going to get roasted for my bad Wi-Fi.
Honestly, all the best of luck with the rest of spring training. We would love to chat with you again once you kind of figure out where you're landing. If you've got some time, a few months down the road or whatever, if that's all right with you, check in on you.
For sure. I'll be a reoccurring guest.
Awesome. Right on, Nick. Thanks so much, buddy.